Hello, and welcome to Xavier University. I'm Rachel Crastel. Today, we are honored to speak with retired Fire District Chief and retired Lieutenant Colonel Raffel Prophett, who is a candidate for the mayor of the city of Cincinnati. This interview is sponsored by Take It On, Xavier's nonpartisan initiative to encourage better dialogue and robust, peaceful engagement in politics. With me today is Marina Salazar, Vice President of the Student Government Association, and Cristo Fassi, Take It On's student intern. So welcome, Colonel Prophett, and thank you for being with us here today at Xavier. Our first question is going to come from Vice President Salazar.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. So our first question is, why should college students care about the mayoral election?
Well, first of all, thanks, Xavier, for providing this forum, and I'm happy to be with you all today. This affects their lives, right? Whether they're from Cincinnati or not, who becomes the next mayor of Cincinnati will affect their life. While they're at Xavier, if they decide to stay here in the city, definitely it will affect their future moving forward. So I definitely would encourage, highly encourage students to get involved with with this election. There's a primary where two of us the top two vote getters will emerge and go head to head in November, and encourage them to follow them in terms of issues. There's several issues that are being discussed right now that will affect the future of Cincinnati. So I encourage them to get involved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prophett. Now, why should college students support your candidacy for mayor in particular?
Well, they should, first of all, because I'm a graduate of Xavier University, right? So I obtained my master's back in, 2016 in urban sustainability and resilience. And so I have a vested interest in the success of the city, not only because of my connection with Xavier, but because of my lifelong connection with the city. I was born here. I was raised here. I was educated in public schools here. I attended undergraduate University of Cincinnati, certifications for Cincinnati State, and as I just told you, master's degree from Xavier. And I'm doing this for our collective future, right? Not only for the students' future there at Xavier, but those children of Cincinnati, including my own, that we have so many issues that need to be dealt with. And I believe I bring a courageous, creative, and selfless leadership as my values that I have to really, get at these issues that are plaguing us. So I'm asking for the support of those students because I have their future in mind is why I'm doing this running for mayor.
So if you were elected mayor, what will be different about the city of Cincinnati by the time our first year students are in their senior year?
Well, not sure if the students are following what's going on at City Hall right now, where in 2020, you had 3 out of 9 council members were indicted on corruption charges by the federal authorities. 1 have already been convicted and 2 are still pending. And so, what you would see is that you would see a government, our local government, Cincinnati, what was the model in 1925 under Season Good and other folks to change the culture of corruption from the Boss Cox days to good governance, and which had become a model for the country moving forward. However, in 2001, the charter changed to a council manager, stronger mayor, and which I believe led to this culture of corruption that we see at City Hall. And as mayor, we'll get back to good governance, right? We'll get back to that the city manager is the chief executor of the city, in which the last 3 have not been certified managers, in which there's a whole system of credentialing that is created and has been created over the last 75 or so years to really shape and develop those city managers to be chief executive officers of the city. The mayor is pretty much it sets the legislative agenda. provides somewhat of the vision, because that's what he or she campaigned on, and that's what the citizens expect. But the city manager actually is the chief executive officer of the city. And so that's what the students would see differently, that we would return to good governance, where the city manager is the chief executive, city council votes on policy, and the mayor sets the legislative agenda.
So besides governmental and administrative reforms, which you mentioned, what else will want to make students stay in Cincinnati after they graduate?
So we want to make Cincinnati to be that equity, that city that truly believes in equity, right? That not only, or I should say, equity for those of us, or for those of our citizens who have actually been on the bottom rail of equity, right? COVID-19 and the social movement that emerged from the killing of Floyd and Taylor has exposed these racial inequities that have plagued our city, our state, and country. And we want Cincinnati, as mayor, Cincinnati will be that city where we require equity for everyone. Everyone should have the opportunity to have a happy, vibrant, and productive lives. And so we'll be promoting that. In fact, we'll be promoting affordable housing, right? Where we're having mixed income housing, in which I was raised in affordable housing, where I would live right next door to a father who supported his family from the post office, a good middle class job. Just a couple of rows up from us was a doctor, a professional person. But you paid based on your income. This was affordable housing. My mother, my parents were divorced. My father supported us in child support, but my mother essentially raised us off of tips as a restaurant waitress from a Big Louie's restaurant. It was only had 2 locations in the West End and Avondale, but she paid according to what she earned. And I believe currently that's like housing, including utilities, is 30% of your income. And so this was a mixed income affordable housing development called Parktown in the West End. And I believe that becomes some of the model for our city of equity. And I believe that that will attract young folks to come to that creative class, to stay in Cincinnati, to come to Cincinnati, because they want to be part of this community, this beloved community, where we are all benefiting and learning from each other, right? That professional person that is providing maybe healthcare, or maybe helping design different buildings, but also appreciating someone who lives maybe just a block away, that is an essential worker, that is a waitress, that maybe provides lunch for that person every day. That's what we want to build for Cincinnati, that beloved community that Dr. King talked about.
So on your campaign website, you mentioned that you served in the Cincinnati Fire Department for 32 years. And in those years, you mentioned that you saw firsthand how segregated our city's communities are. Now, you put it in the terms that you're either a West Sider or an East Sider. So if you're elected as mayor, what will you do to help create a more unified and united Cincinnati?
Right. And so, as part of that, when I was talking about, in terms of Cincinnati, how we developed, especially residentially, our neighborhoods. The Urban League's laid out in this 2015 report about the 2 Cincinnatis, a Black Cincinnati and a white Cincinnati, a have and a have-nots, right? But I talk about, in order to really understand that, how that came about, how that formed, you had to talk about in terms of how these neighborhoods formed. And you had the East Side, right, where whites lived, and you had the West Side where whites lived. And then you had the core where African Americans lived. And so in order to get at how to, build this as I just previously said, this is beloved community, I believe it's going to require greater collaboration, right? Where not only East Siders, West Siders, and cores, but progressives and conservatives, and the African American community that oftentimes vote, believe it or not, progressive policies and conservative policies, right? And so we're going to have to bring those people together to figure out how to do that. Now, I was I was deployed overseas in support of the Afghanistan and Iraq war, and I was the deputy director of plans for U.S. Army Central, where I had the primary responsibility to bring all of these different disciplines together to achieve an outcome that the general had set. The general would give us, guidance. It's like, here's what I want this effort to look like when it's done. I need you to pull these people together to get it done. And so we didn't know what the answer was. We just knew what the goal was. And so we came together, and through great collaboration, we were able to put together plans to achieve the goals of those generals. And sometimes they did not actually work as we thought. And so we would come back and retweak, retask, repurpose or readjust to actually achieve that. And I believe that that's what it will take in order for us to create this racially equitable community that I think is required for us to be successful in a sustainable city.
Thanks. That's really great to hear about your experience in Afghanistan. So our last question is going to come from Vice President Salazar.
Yeah, I just want to thank you again for spending your morning with us. So our last question is, what advice would you give college students who are wanting to go into local politics?
Yeah, do it, right? Just get involved. One of the reasons why I did this was because I hoped that I could, use the platform to encourage young folks to get involved in the political process. I believe that there is a narrative that many of us see politicians as self-serving and ambitious, looking for their next political position and looking how it can benefit them in their private lives. And I wanted to use this platform to say that the public service should be about selflessness. It's about the common good, right? And my hope is that the young folks will do that they will want to get involved in this political life in order to create more sustainable lives for us all, because that's what it's going to take. If we're going to survive as human beings, it's going to take selfless leaders making those courageous decisions, right? You're going to have some creativity in order to do that if we're going to be successful as human beings. So it is my hope that young folks will get involved in the political process. I will, try to provide the example of selflessness as I move forward in this campaign. And when I'm elected, I probably will form some sort of some sort of committee or some sort of group to encourage young folks. Come down to the city hall. Let me show you how this works. All right. So yeah, I would encourage them to do so. Thank you.
Well, Colonel Prophett, it has been such an honor and pleasure to talk with you today. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom and for meeting here with our students. And on behalf of Xavier, thanks so much. And we look forward to the future with you.
Thanks for having me. It was my pleasure anytime.